The jungle air clung heavy and damp, thick with a perfume of strange blossoms that bloomed under alien suns. My boots sank into the mossy floor as I adjusted the straps of my pack, keeping my rifle slung loosely at my side. This planet, designated Kevera 6, was supposed to be uninhabited. That's what the maps and probes had told us. But maps lie. Probes miss things. And I had seen her. The first time was nothing more than a flicker of motion between the thick trunks, skin the color of twilight and eyes that burned like molten amber. She was lean, tall, graceful. At first I thought I had imagined her, a stress-born hallucination. But then I heard the laughter. Musical, strange, haunting. She was real. I was part of the 2nd Scouting Unit from the UNS Pioneer, sent to establish a forward base near the river delta. I should have reported the sighting immediately. Protocol demanded it. Instead, I found myself wandering back to that same spot each day, waiting, listening. And eventually she stepped out of the shadows. The beginning. She called herself Erin, though her accent twisted the syllables in ways I couldn't quite mimic. Her people, she explained, lived far from the river, deeper into the heart of Kevera's endless forests. They were hidden, shielded, because long ago, long before we humans ever came, they had been hunted. Her skin was marked with faint, pale sigils that curved like constellations. They glowed softly under the moonlight. When I asked what they meant, she touched her chest and said, "Story. Life." Erin was unlike anyone I'd ever met. She wasn't just curious about humans, she was insistent. She wanted to know how our ships flew without wings, how our bones healed when broken, how we could live so far from home and yet still call each other kin. First, I kept my answers simple. Just enough to satisfy her without betraying too much. But the truth was, I wanted her questions. I wanted her gaze fixed on me, sharp as a blade yet soft with wonder. The other scouts noticed I slipped away more often than not. I told them I was mapping out extra hunting grounds. They didn't press. One night, beneath the canopy where the stars peeked through, Erin reached for my arm. "You carry no story," she said. Her voice was low, nearly drowned by the hum of insects. "I carry plenty," I said with a grin, tapping the patches on my uniform. "Military service. Earth. My family name." She shook her head, eyes narrowing. "No, not your words. Not our bond." Before I could ask what she meant, she knelt, drew a slender blade from her satchel, and pressed the flat side against her palm. Then, dipping her fingertip in the glowing sap of a nearby vine, she traced winding shapes across my forearm. The sap burned cold, leaving trails that shimmered silver in the dark. When she finished, she whispered, "Now you are one of us too." The middle. The days blurred. Patrol missions. Reports. Sneaking away to meet Erin. Her symbols didn't wash off. They sank into my skin like tattoos but alive, shifting faintly when I moved. At first I panicked, scrubbing until my skin turned raw. But when I looked at her, calm and steady, I let the fear go. "What do they mean?" I asked her more than once. "They are your beginning," she said. "The rest comes after." I didn't understand, but I didn't have to. Felt it. A tether binding me to her, pulling me toward something greater than myself. But secrecy can only last so long. One evening, Sergeant Ramirez cornered me. "You've been vanishing, Walker. Off the grid. That's not just suspicious, it's dangerous." "I'm scouting," I insisted, though even I knew how thin it sounded. His eyes dropped to my forearm, to the faintly glowing marks. "What the hell is that?" I tugged my sleeve down, but too late. The next day, higher command called me in. I was interrogated hard. Had I made contact with unknown life forms? Why hadn't I reported it? Was I compromised? Compromised. Like my bond with Aaron was some kind of infection. They didn't confine me, but I knew surveillance was tighter. I couldn't slip away as easily. When I finally met Aaron again, breathless from dodging patrol routes, she touched my face with sudden fear. "They know," she whispered. "They won't hurt you," I said. "I won't let them." But I didn't believe my own words. That night, the forest erupted with fire. The UNS Pioneer launched a cleansing operation. Drones, flames, shock rounds tearing through the undergrowth. They had decided Aaron's people were a threat, better eradicated than studied. I ran through the chaos, searching for her. The air was smoke and heat, screams mixing with the mechanical buzz of machines. And then I saw her, standing defiant in a clearing, bow drawn against a steel-plated drone. She fired, an arrow tipped with glowing crystal. It pierced the drone's core, dropping it in a hiss of sparks. But more came. Always more. I reached her, grabbing her arm. "We have to go." Her eyes burned, both furious and sorrowful. "You chose them." "No," I said, gripping tighter. "I chose you." She hesitated. Then, wordlessly, she turned and ran with me into the deeper dark. The bond. For 3 days we fled. Drones hunted us. Patrols closed in. And through it all, Aaron never let go of my hand. We hid in ancient ruins her people once called sacred, a place where towering stone arches rose from the ground, covered in carvings older than memory. There she explained what her markings meant. "They are not just symbols," she said, tracing the lines on my skin. "They bind spirit to spirit. I drew my story into you. Now your choices shape it too. We are one." I stared at the glowing shapes. "And if they find us, then your story ends with mine." Her words should have terrified me. Instead, I felt a strange peace. But peace doesn't last in war. The soldiers found us. Ramirez himself led the unit. His rifle aimed steady at my chest. "Step aside, Walker," he ordered. "We'll take her in alive if possible. But she is coming with us." I positioned myself between them. "No, she's not a threat. She's a person. You can't just burn her people to ash." "You're compromised," Ramirez said coldly. "You don't know what you're saying." But I did. For the first time in my life I did. When he advanced, I raised my rifle. Not at him, but at the drones circling above. 1 shot, 2 shots, sparks raining down. My squad shouted in shock. Erin moved beside me, her bow humming with crystal light. Together we fought, not as soldier and alien, but as 2 stories bound by one choice. The ending. In the end, they couldn't hold the ground. The forest itself turned against them, vines tightening around steel, roots bursting beneath boots, storms gathering overhead as if the planet itself had chosen a side. We escaped deeper into Erin's homeland, where her people emerged from the shadows. They were wary of me at first, eyes sharp and distrustful. But when they saw the marks on my arm, their marks, they bowed their heads in acceptance. "You are one of us," they said, voices blending like wind through leaves. I wasn't a soldier anymore. Not in the way Earth defined it. My old unit branded me deserter, traitor, even enemy. But I had found something worth more than rank or medals. Erin stood beside me as the dawn rose over Keveras 6, painting the sky gold. She touched my arm where the symbols still glowed faintly, alive with their own pulse. "Your story is only beginning," she whispered. I smiled, for the first time unafraid of what lay ahead. Because whatever came, I knew I wasn't walking it alone.